Hi everyone, welcome to our updated Facebook ads course for iOS 14.5. This is a paid acquisition deep dive into Facebook ads to help you learn how to use the platform effectively for your business. This week is going to be an introduction, and I'll be going through what we're going to learn over the next few weeks, as well as giving you an introductory glance into the platform, how to navigate it, and how to get familiar with the platform so that you can start using it to advertise your business. So over the next 6 weeks, you're going to learn how to use the platform, how to look at tracking management, which is probably one of the most significant changes when it comes to the iOS 14.5 side of things, audience management, experimentation management, e-commerce management, and reporting management. In the 7th week, which will be a bonus week, I will be going through a live setup of a campaign so that you can see how all of this comes together and is navigated in a live environment. So this will be what we are covering over the coming weeks. But first things first, you do need to have your account set up for success. So one of the most important elements of Facebook advertising is making sure that you have accurately set up your business manager and your ad manager account. So first, we're going to jump in to the business manager account, and I will show you the different elements that you will need to have set up correctly. So over here in business settings, now this is just a dummy account, but you can access this by going to business.facebook.com and setting up your account there if you haven't got one already. But this is like your hub for everything to do with Facebook in terms of like your ads manager, your account, your pages, your Instagram account, all of the data points. This is like your hub on the back end of Facebook. And what you want to make sure in here first and foremost is that your domain is connected effectively. So what that means essentially is that you need to now verify your domain to advertise with Facebook. This is part of the iOS 14.5 changes. So you need to make sure that your brand safety in here, the domain option here, you have your domain added and verified. When you add a domain, it gives you 3 options to verify it. One is by adding a piece of code to your website. Secondly, you have the opportunity to do a DNS change, and then the last option is a HTML file. So you can do whatever option is most comfortable to you in terms of your ability to navigate your website, or alternatively, you can ask your web developer to do this step for you. But in terms of changes on the platform, this is the key one when it comes to the business settings, to make sure that your domain is set up accurately. Otherwise, your domain isn't verified to target users or to create aggregated event measures for results on it. So you will have difficulty advertising if you do not verify your domain. So make sure that you do that step in here first. But as well as that, this allows you to do multiple things. So setting this up accurately is hugely important. Up here in users, you have people, partners, and system users. That will allow you to give, say, for example, agencies or staff members or your team, all the different people that may be lending a hand to the account. You can give them access to all of the different elements down along here by using this option. In here in your accounts, again, you can have your pages, your ad accounts. If you have multiple, you can add them all in here as well, apps, everything. Your data sources are extremely important. So your pixels, your catalog, any sort of data sources that you want to connect into the account, you need to have a look at that here. And then down below, you have your brand safety, domains, and block lists. Block lists are hugely important as well, because what it allows you to do is block things that you don't want Facebook to have the ability to place your ad on. So when we think of Facebook ads, we often make the assumption that Facebook is just putting those adverts on Facebook. But actually, they have a lot of partner sites and they have a lot of partner applications and app stores and things like that. So sometimes they will place your adverts there. You can manually manipulate it to not do that and only show on Facebook. And we'll be going through that as well. But what you want to do is make sure that if, for example, you have an app and you do want Facebook to place your app adverts on different apps, then you want to make sure that those apps are not in conflict with your brand and your brand goals. So it's hugely important and often overlooked. The other thing that you want to make sure you have set up is your business information, your security center, and your payment methods. These are all just standard setup procedures and are going to be beneficial for your account, because if you have all of this set up, you're good to go. So this is the business manager. This is like the hub again that you want to get right at the start. So certainly take a look and get started filling in all of this information. Again, domains being priority in here. If you are having any problems with your adverts at the moment, make sure that your domain is verified, and that is where you can set this up. So why would someone want to use Facebook? So Facebook has a ton of targeting options, and it's a problem just as much as it is a solution for your business. And you have to think about Facebook holistically. It is a huge platform. It has, quite frankly, billions of users, and it has a huge amount of capacity to bring your business to people that may not have heard about it before. But with that comes a lot of data and a lot of information. So your KPI decisions are key in advance of starting your advertising. You need to know what your goals are. Different campaigns align themselves better to different KPIs. So not aligning your KPIs with your campaigns can cause significant overspend, a higher cost per acquisition, and overall underperformance of your advertising. So you want to be thinking about Facebook in terms of what is my goal. And that often comes back to your problem solution fit. So if you have a problem that has a known solution, for example, awareness of that solution may not factor into your KPIs as much as if you have a brand new solution to a problem that people are unaware of. They don't know that that solution exists. And you have to factor in, well, I need to make people aware first. So you need to be thinking about what your business goals are, what you need from the platform, and how you're going to measure that. So your KPIs or your goals, your performance indicators, you need to have those planned out in advance. And those being planned in advance make all of the difference when it comes to advertising on Facebook. It's hugely important. So these are the different campaign types on Facebook. So you have 3 tiers here, and this is what happens when you go into the advertising platform and you click on start a campaign. So first of all, over here on the left, you have brand awareness and reach. In the middle here, you have traffic, engagement, app installs, video views, lead generation, and messages. And over here on the right hand side, you have conversions, catalog sales, and store traffic. Now, there are 3 key differences between these campaign types. First and foremost, over here on the left-hand side, you have awareness, and that is trying to get in front of as many people as possible. In the middle here, it's what I would describe as a medium intent audience, and that is trying to get people who are potentially somewhat aware, and you want to get them to take an action, but they're not quite converting yet. They're not quite getting you sales. This is just kind of that middle level there, that mid-intent audience. And over here on the right hand side, then this is where you're driving the return on investment, essentially. This is where your conversions start coming in. This is where your catalog sales start coming in and your store traffic. So I would describe these as a low intent, medium intent, and high intent option when you are looking at the platform. And again, this is going back to your KPIs. So if you have the goal of brand awareness, you need low intent awareness, you need a broader scale of things. You need to be looking at awareness over here. Whereas if you just need a volume of traffic to your site, if you need video views, if you need to start getting people engaged, then it's consideration, it's medium intent. And then over on the right hand side, it's conversions. Now, typically, and I'll be going through this in a lot more detail as we progress through the course, but typically conversions can be manipulated to be all types. That sounds strange, but essentially what you can do is select a conversion campaign, and then you can optimize it for reach, or you can optimize it for traffic, or you can optimize it for different things. So actually, this option becomes the most frequently used in my circumstance anyway, when I roll these campaigns out for us here in Growth University, as well as anyone else I've ever run ads for. Typically this conversion has come down to being the most profitable. Now that can be not the same scenario for everyone. Obviously, if you're in retail, catalog sales work fantastic as well. And sometimes you just need to make people a little bit aware, and you do have to generate a little bit of data up here. Now that's going to be important as well when we're looking at the iOS 14.5 changes, because we need to build some data if we're losing data off of the conversion side of things. So we'll be discussing that in detail as well, along with the iOS 14.5 changes. So over here, these are the different campaign types, the key KPI that you are going to associate with them, and the target CPA, again, is we're going to be looking at, this is cost per acquisition. So when it comes to brand awareness, this is the maximum people that will remember your advert. Now, I'm always somewhat curious about Facebook's description here, because if I asked you right now to remember the last advert you saw on Facebook, it's unlikely that you will be able to remember that. And again, this is measured typically, and same with the reach in terms of the cost per impressions, and that can fluctuate depending on your industry. Traffic, again, link clicks tends to be the association there, and again, that's industry specific on how much it's going to cost you. Engagement, you're looking for reactions, comments, clicks. In that instance, app installs, app downloads, video views, video watch length, so how long are people watching your video. Lead generation is your lead KPIs, messages, communication KPIs, conversions, your custom conversions or your purchase KPIs. And again, catalog sales are your purchase conversions. There is also the store option, and that is about location targeting. So how many people have seen your advert and also ended up in your store. That can be very touch and go in terms of the quality of the reporting there. But that is what the last one is there. That is just slightly invisible. So when you're structuring your campaigns, we've all seen this funnel before, where you're looking at brand awareness or reach at the top of that. You're looking at your engagement and your video views. You're looking at traffic. You're bringing people down. You're starting with awareness. You're saying, okay, now that group are aware of us. Now we want them to engage with us. Now we want them to hit the website. Now we want them to communicate with us, and then we want them to convert. And this can be a very long process for some businesses. And this process actually, I find, works quite well where businesses have a longer lead time. Sometimes they need this breadth of a funnel. But typically, this can be cut into 3 or sometimes even just 1 or 2, depending on your budget and depending on your goals. If you just need conversions in your retail business, sometimes it might just be getting some traffic and remarketing, or just looking at different audiences and optimizing for conversions through and through, because sometimes you may not need to spend above that in terms of a funnel to get traction on the platform. This takes a little bit of testing to get used to. We're still testing here in Growth University around that. One thing that we're testing hugely at the moment is video views at the top, lead gen in the middle, and then conversions at the bottom. So we're saying, okay, putting out lots of pieces of micro content that are a little bit longer in length. You need 2 or 3 minutes to watch it, but it's a high value piece of information. And then we're looking at, okay, we'll create an audience of people who have watched 75% of that video and try to get them through to the website. And then if they get to the website, don't convert, we'll do some remarketing, because we have a longer lead time though. However, I've seen people in retail just jump to conversions and work really, really well there as well. So there's lots of different options when it comes to structuring your campaigns into your funnel as well. But you can set up, like I mentioned there, a conversion focused advert to a audience. So again, this funnel may not always look like a funnel to you. It might just be a spider web. It can be a little bit all over the place. Don't narrow yourself into the funnel thinking if you have opportunities to kind of mix and match lots of different things and navigate it slightly differently. So don't force yourself into the funnel is one thing I would say with Facebook ads, because there is so much opportunity on the platform to navigate it slightly differently there as well. So when it comes to campaign types and the data that you can leverage off the back of it, this is really interesting because the data off the back of it is kind of changing. So I'm going to describe the different data points as either on-platform or off-platform data. And what I mean by that is, if an action is taken on the platform, like someone watches a video on the platform, or they like your post on the platform, or they click on it on the platform, that is on-platform data. However, if they take an action that navigates them to your website and they add something to your cart, they purchase something, they sign up to your mailing list, that is off-platform data. That has happened away from Facebook and on your website. Now, the key difference when it comes to iOS 14.5 in this instance is that on-platform data isn't as heavily impacted by iOS 14.5 as off-platform is. And the reason for that is because that's where it disconnects, essentially, in terms of their ability to track the user beyond the platform. So with this, bear that in mind for the data leveraging points. because you potentially might have a lot of data leveraging further up the funnel than I would have described previously. So when last time I was doing this course and before iOS 14.5 was really rolled out, I would often say to people, build your audiences off your website, build your audiences off your customer list, and all of those off-platform data points are now essentially affected or have been somewhat dismantled by iOS 14.5 and aren't as effective as they were before. But now your on-platform data points can be really beneficial. So if you have a traffic campaign types and you're looking for link clicks, yes, you can look at remarketing, but here again, some of that data is going to be impacted because it is part of that iOS 14.5 change. It is off-platform data. Engagement, reactions, comments, and clicks, you can remarket to those people too, and it's on-platform data, so you are not having some of it missed on the other end, and it can be an effective audience there as well. Video views, video watch length, remarketing to video views, lead generation, KPIs, remarketing, you can upload a custom list. Now, start distinguishing these between on and off platform in your head as you're going through your own data. Your messages, communication KPIs, you can remarket to people who have messaged. Now, this is just a flag that this section here, if you are doing any advertising within the European Union, you will have issues with GDPR around this because this setup, this structure is no longer available in the EU. Conversions, your custom purchase, you can upsell and cross-sell things, again, off-platform data, so it's not going to be as effective moving forward. Now, the platforms are going to catch up to this. Don't be frightened by what I'm saying, because sometimes it might not be hugely impactful, especially if a lot of people convert from Android devices on your website, for example. But what you want to be just thinking about is differentiating these data points. Again, catalog sales, purchase conversions, upselling and cross-selling, again, that typically will happen off the platform. However, if it's on platform, say for example, you have your Facebook page shop or your Instagram shop and you're tagging products, that's on platform again. So you just remember to start distinguishing your data between on and off platform data. So in here, when you actually set up a campaign, then we'll be going through this in a live environment as well in the last week, but in your ad set, after you select a campaign that we just went through there at the start, where you have your brand awareness, traffic, conversions, all of those different campaign types, in the next section of your setup, you get met with this placement option. Now up here on the left, this is what you see, and it is defaulted to automatic placements. And what I recommend is having a think about that, because the Facebook experts that will call you up, typically when you start an advertising account, they will get in touch with you and ask you about your campaign structures, and they will recommend automatic placements. But often I recommend thought around that and to think about your manual placements. And there is a reason for that, and I'll go through it here. So you have your different platforms, and people use those platforms differently first and foremost, but also all of the different placements require different types of creatives and different types of messaging, essentially. So for example, your stories, they need to be tall adverts, and your feed needs to be smaller adverts with more copy and things like that. So the placements of the different campaigns can actually make a difference. And there's other things to factor in as well. So for example, feeds here is without a doubt 9 times out of 10. I actually work with one person who has a different story to this, but vast majority of people will see vast majority of their conversions come from the Facebook newsfeed. So if you have a lower budget, I'd be saying just place them on the newsfeed and just maximize what budget you have. So there's lots of different placements here that you need to think about, like Facebook's right-hand column, very rarely seen. It's only available on desktop. Is there much point in you spending money there? The other thing as well that I would like you to think about when it comes to your marketing is, for example, in-stream placements. So, when you're watching a video on Facebook and an advert pops up in the middle of it and you just have to wait for the advert to end to watch the end of your video, and you end up just being annoyed by the advert because you're trying to do something else. In that placement, people are trying to watch the video. You're potentially just irritating people in that instance. So that's why I say maybe don't use in-stream if you don't want your brand to be in an irritating placement. Apps and sites. This is what I talked about earlier when it came to the brand safety side of things. This is off platform. completely. In article, people are just trying to read the article. People are familiar with adverts in their newsfeed. People are familiar with adverts in stories. Think about the placement heavily and your audience to structure these placements a little bit more accurately. I would recommend, if you've never advertised before, to try automatic placements for a little while and get a gauge on where your conversions are coming through if you're not sure. But just have a think about this, because sometimes the placement will impact performance. In fact, more often than not, it will impact performance. So just bear that in mind and just think about that when you are structuring out your campaigns. So if you are doing a awareness campaign, for example, it might make more sense to have automatic placements to be everywhere to really drive awareness than it might be for conversions. If you're spending on conversions, maybe you just want to drive where you get more conversions from when it comes to placements. So this is worth thinking about heavily, and this is just a key element of the platform. So you're thinking about what campaigns you want, and you're thinking about where you want those actions to happen as well. So we're going to go in and have a little look at the ads manager now to navigate the platform. So this is just a dummy account. We'll just have a quick look here. So this is just a dummy account that we use for just showcasing how to navigate the platform. Typically, if you're based in the US, you will not see this red bar here. This is a VAT option. This is a tax information for a type of tax we have here. So you can just ignore this. But what has changed on the platform, one of the key things that has changed on the platform that you will notice is you have always had this campaign ad set and ad tab, but you now have this resource center tab as well. And this resource tab gives you the ability to see if there's issues around the iOS 14 changes within your account. This might be your domain isn't verified yet, you haven't configured your events yet, and we'll be going through how to set up that event configuration as well. But this is where you're going to find some of those issues highlighted to you, and you want to take the opportunity to look through this and change them if need be. So you'll see in here there's lots of different updates. So you can see all of these audience sizes decreasing. That's common with iOS 14.5 because people have been removed from the audience. Ads can run without a domain that prioritized events. So previously ads were paused if they didn't have a domain that prioritized events for iOS. Now you can turn on and create ads that don't have a domain that prioritizes your event. However, they may not be delivered to people who have opted out of tracking on iOS 14.5 or later. So there's all of these different rules and back and forth. These are always changing. There's always new updates in here. So I would always recommend coming in and just having a read through these, because this is a dynamic and ever-changing situation at the moment with iOS 14.5. So even just a few weeks ago, you couldn't do this. You couldn't set up an advert if the domain wasn't prioritized or it hadn't events prioritized for it. But you want to be following exactly what Facebook is telling you to do in these instances so that you're not missing out. You still want to get in front of people with an iOS 14.5 device or later, because over time and as time goes on, it will be more and more common that people will, there's going to be a point in time where iOS 14.5 will be actually completely outdated and everyone will have moved beyond it. And the other thing to factor in here is getting familiar with the iOS 14.5 changes is going to give you the upper hand in a few months, because Android are coming forward with very similar releases, which means that actually vast majority of mobile devices, you'll be navigating around these issues for most of them going into 2022 and beyond. So you want to get familiar with this. And what I'm going to refer to this as when it comes to Android and Facebook iOS 14.5 is privacy first marketing. So you can do a little bit of research around that as well in terms of what is privacy first marketing and how is it going to impact your campaigns. It particularly impacts smaller and medium-sized businesses more so than bigger businesses. So you do want to keep an eye on it as a startup. If you're really just getting into advertising for the first time, this can be kind of it's a big hiccup. It's a big step in the way sometimes for people. Like even for me as a marketer, and I've been doing this for years and have my master's degree in it. It was a difficult hurdle to wrap my head around in terms of going through all of the different steps, all of the different nuances, little things like saying to someone, "Oh, I can get those adverts out for you tomorrow," and then realizing that there's now a 72-hour delay on changing around events. So the all these little things make a difference. So now just to learn a little bit more about actually navigating the advertising platform, you have your resource center, you have your campaigns, your ad sets, and your ad type. So here is where you hit that create button, and that brings you to the screen we discussed there in my presentation. So you have your awareness, your consideration, your conversion, and then when you click through here, after selecting your option, it's in here in the ad set that I discussed the option to switch to manual placements. So those are two key things that I want you to take away from today, is going from campaign to ad set and looking at the different placements inside in there. We'll be going through the different setups like audiences and things like that as the weeks go on. But right now, think about what kind of campaigns do you need? What are your goals? And where do you want those goals to occur? Where do you think those goals would occur most frequently? Some testing might be required for that, but getting a baseline idea for what that might look like can be really beneficial. Over here then is the all tools bar. So you have your ads manager, your business settings, your audiences, your events manager, commerce manager, ad accounts. All of these different options are in here as well. Now this looks somewhat similar to your business settings. I mean, you can access a lot of the same things in here, like your account quality, your billing. Your account quality is hugely important, especially if you're in an industry where you might have multiple ads rejected all the time. An example of this that I see all the time is like supplements or health performance enhancers, or like anything to do with weight loss, and that can be really commonly rejected. So your account quality, you want to keep that strong. Billing, all of these different things. So over the next few weeks, we're going to be going through the different types of events, how that has changed now with iOS 14.5. We'll be going through how to set those up, your reporting structures, your tracking, and your audiences. These two things are the key things that have changed due to the changes. So we'll be going through those in a lot of detail, but get familiar with where everything is on the platform from now, and that will be hugely beneficial to you moving forward throughout this course. So that's your introduction to the Facebook Ads Manager and Facebook Business Settings, and just getting an introductory feel for the environment on where you're going to place your adverts and things like that in Facebook ads. If you have had any questions about this session, please feel free to reach out to me. You can email me at jen@growthuniversity.io, or you can feel free to ping me in Slack as well. We also have a Facebook ads planner that you can download. I've linked it down below here in the course material. So if you would like to take a look at that, that will give you that sense of looking at your KPIs, looking at your campaign structures, and looking at where you're going to place things. There's lots more in that planner that you'll get to use over the coming weeks as well. Thanks for coming, and I can't wait to see you next week.